and welcome to another Paper Crafting Tuesday. Today I'm going to create a card, and I will be using once again the cute little mini iron by Tulip, but instead of using wax cakes, I will be using the wax crayons by Faber-Castell. Before I go ahead on today's project, I want to talk to you a little bit about the supplies I'll be using. Now, of course, I'll be using the little mini iron by Tulip, which I love. So it's plugged in and ready to go. It's all heated up. The next thing that's very important for today's technique is glossy paper. Now, glossy paper, because it's not porous, will let the wax sit on the surface, and you'll be able to move it a lot better. It will not seep into the pores of the paper, and you will also be able to remove it, and I will show you that in a bit. So glossy paper, very important. I'll also be using the wonderful wax crayons by Faber-Castell, and in my opinion they are worth the investment. The colors are rich. They are not the same as the encaustic wax. Encaustic wax has a tendency to be a little bit translucent. Let me show you the swatches that I have made. So this is with the two crayons that I have been holding. So let me give you a close-up. So this is like the purpley bluish, and this is just me melting, literally melting, not playing around. So there's this one. Then we have the greens and the turquoises. Look at these colors. Aren't they yummy? So these are the three crayons that I use for this. With this, I have used three shades of blue, and I've also mixed in some black for contrast. Next we have probably one of my favorites, the magentas, the pinks with ochre yellow. Look at that goodness. So yummy. Look at this. This is with yellow, orange, and pink. Very fun as well. This is the light brown, the darker brown, and the black. And I've also swatched the black with the silver. Look at this. How awesome is that? And with this one, I used the neutrals, but I also used the gold. So you can see here, this is gold over black. The last combination that I have to show you is sort of like a skin color, an orange and the gold over that. Fine. Now, you can remove some color, you can give it some marbling effect, which I have done here. So I'm going to do that with this piece right here. And all you need to do is just take your iron on its side, because that be careful, it's very hot, by the way. So around the perimeter is also very hot. So you can just use either the tip or the side. I'm going to use both, and you can just create some veins. You can go light. Of course, you know, I would have to research what marbling really looks like, but you can create thin ones. You can create large ones. Now, how cool is that? Though the other thing too I want to mention is that you should clean your iron in between colors, otherwise you will get the color, the previous color. And to do this, I just used a baby wipe, but I kind of balled it up so that I don't burn myself. And there you go. It's good to go. So, let's get to the card. Oops, I also forgot to swatch the reds. So I'm going to do that in front of you right now. So I'm going to take the lightest red, and I'm just going to scribble on the surface of the iron and just slide across my piece, not thinking really where this is going. And I'll use the other red. They look very similar, but we'll see. I think this is a lighter red. Yeah, it's more like an orangey red. Oh, how fun. You know what would be cool with these two colors? Gold, sorry. Gold would be fun. And let's do this in the middle. See what happens. Oh! Look at this. You see this? So much fun. So that was the 2 reds and the gold. Okay, so let's create the background now. I'm working on my craft mat, but I've also included a few sheets just of copy paper underneath the cardstock, the glossy cardstock that I'm using, and this will ensure that my surface is completely flat. The craft mat is quite thin. If your desk is not completely straight, it will make a difference. So by using a few sheets of paper, it kind of creates this extra cushion that you need. And I'm going to take my light blue. And for now, I'm just going to go kind of like straight up and down on the long end, or the long end, I guess. And I think I want to go down a little bit further. Oh, I'm so liking this. So that's what it looks so far, and don't panic if you see the edge of your iron. It's not a big deal. You can always go back and melt over it. For now, I have a good beginning of a sky, and I love how these patches of white came up. That's perfect because I will see them as clouds now, so I kind of have an idea of where I'm going. And now I'm going to take a blue. I think I'm going to go safe with this, and if I don't like it, I can always add another color over top. So this is like a darker, stronger blue. And oi! This is so much fun. See how I'm able to go back and mold or shape the background the way I want it. And this is the importance of, I'll show you, I just dropped the iron, but it fell on my craft mat. Not a problem, because the craft mat is actually heat resistant, so that is perfect. Alright, now I'm going to add a very bright green at the bottom to mimic the grass. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is so much fun. Too much fun. Look at this. Isn't that awesome? Now you could create mountains if you wanted to. In fact, let me just see what I can do here. Why don't I take this and move it up a little bit. Give it a bit of a movement. Love that. Yeah, I think I'm going to add another color. I just can't stop. I think I'm going to add a little bit of the dark green, and this time I'm going to apply this just at the tip of my iron because I want this. Oh, yum. Seriously. Now, isn't that too cool for words? I would just add a nice quote in the middle, put this on a card. Okay, I have to admit that I was tempted to leave this alone, but unfortunately, I'm going to slap a flower over that. So I'm using this beautiful penny black stamp. It's called Noble number 4377K. And I'm going to stamp directly on the wax with Stays On. We'll see how it works. And if it doesn't, no biggie. I'll just have fun doing another background. Now the surface is very slippery, so I'm going to have to be very careful. Try not to wiggle this at all. It's not bad. It doesn't stand out as much as I would have wanted. So, plan B. So I have mixed media paper and some Versamark ink. I'm going to stamp the flower on this because I will be heat embossing in black, just so that that flower pops against the gorgeous wax background. It doesn't matter where you stamp because you'll be cutting around this. I had a bit of black left over on my stamp. It's not dramatic because I am embossing in black. Ooh, this is going to be nice. And I'm going to heat set this. To color, I'm using 3 distress inks. The first one is Mold Lawn, obviously for the leaves and the stem, and Dried Marigold and Ripe Persimmon for the flower, or the flowers I should say. And what I did is I took my stamp pads and I just pressed them down on an acrylic block, and then I'll just use a water brush to pick up the color. To color, I'm not going to be fussy about it because most of the image is black. I'm just going to transfer some color in the white spaces. And I know this is probably this part of the flower should probably be green, I'm thinking, but it's my flower and I can do what I want with it. Alright, so there's the flower. Now because this is distress inks, of course, it's not going to dry over the embossed areas, and I went over the whole thing with the water brush, so I'm just going to dab a little bit just to remove whatever was on the embossed parts, and then I'm going to cut around the image. Okay, so here's the flower. I didn't cut in the middle because I didn't think that it was necessary, and it would have been quite difficult as well. Before I actually glue down the flower, I want to stamp a sentiment over the wax area, and I'm going to use the previously stamped image as a guide. So in essence, it was a mistake, but not. And I'm going to try with archival ink. I've tried previously with Stays On and it did not work properly. I'm not sure why. Let's see here. Here we go. It worked with the archival ink. So I'm not sure why it did not work properly the first time with Stays On. It's actually a little bit crooked. Let me see if I can erase it. Oh. Isn't that awesome? You can stamp and erase. Now, that brings a big question. Is it going to be permanent on this, or will it forever smudge? Let's stamp again. A little bit dubious as to whether it's going to dry on this or not. It is permanent, so my guess is it will eventually dry. Now, my instinct would tell me to heat set the stamp sentiment, but that's a big problem because we have wax underneath, and of course if we put heat to that, the wax will start melting. Okay, I think I'm gonna give it a shot anyways. Let's see. I'm just gonna zap it really quickly, and what I think is going to happen is that the wax will grab the ink and sort of embed it into the wax. So let's see. Let's cool this off and see if it actually worked. Totally worked. Totally worked. Look at this. This is dry, 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 no smudging. No smudging on my finger. Alright, so I have my card base and it measures, as usual, 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm going to fold this in half. I'm going to take the background and glue this directly. I have to tell you, I'm so in love with this technique that I see a whole bunch of different projects with this. It is so much fun to make. The flower, I'm going to glue this with foam adhesives. Alright, so it's looking good, but I think it's missing something. So I will add a little bow at the bottom of the flower bunch. And for this, I'm going to use some white twine. So I'm just going to make a very loose bow by doing my bunny ears. Easiest way to make a bow. To glue the bow, I'm going to use a mini glue dot. I'm just going to roll the mini glue dot because it's quite big. And add it here. And just pop that bow on there. Like so. I'm going to use a clear gemstone just to put in the middle of that bow here. The last thing I want to add is a couple of little birds. And I have a Sharpie black paint pen, and this is the fine point. It's water based. There we go. Love that. Now, if you don't want to wait until the paint dries, again, I would just zap it really fast. And voila, it is dry. And that's it. How cool was this project? How fun. I hope that you're going to try this because, oh my goodness, I want to do more. I just want to play with this, and I can see a whole bunch of color schemes in my head, and I hope that I will have the time to do them all. So as usual, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I will see you on Friday.